It's just that thing of being timed, though. I hate it when people go, "Oh, have you read this?" And then I can't read it properly because they're thinking I'm taking ages here. Do you know what I mean? So I have to scan read it. And I go, "Oh, it's good, that." And they go, "What do you think?" And I go, "Oh, about what?" So I hate the fact that someone stood there with gloves on, because that isn't normal, relaxing sort of reading, is it?
But it's not, you don't go in to read the Doomsday Book, let's say, in order to just have a relaxing read. You're going in there to study
There
it,
are
historically.
say they're professors and scholars and scientists and historians. They don't wander in because it's raining and they go, "What's a good read?"
There's not a man wearing white gloves turning the pages of the latest Jackie Collins.
Exactly. Do you have heat?
Watching your lips move as you read to see if you can turn the next page.
I suppose I shouldn't really feel guilty, because at the end of the day, right, I mean, people always rave about Shakespeare, saying, "Oh, his work was good." But
Brilliant.
at the same time...
He'll probably put that on the book when he brings another one out. He'll put your review on it. Yeah. Oh, that was good. Karl Pilkington.
But at the same time, like, some people will have a go. I'm ready for people having a go, like that Wendy did about me little films I made. There's always people...
Wendy Robinson?
Yeah,
Sarah Opinion.
For those of you who didn't hear last week, she slammed Karl.
No, well, each to their own and that. And, if everyone liked the same thing, I don't know what we'd do. Right?
Sure.
You don't know anything.
So all I'm saying is, everybody raves about Shakespeare, when, if you properly looked at what he did, he invented a lot of swearing words, right? Effing and jeffing and that. Now,
That was one of his.
Well, it's Effing and Jeffing Part 2. Did he make up a great deal of swear words? I don't know that I'm aware of this.
A lot of them are Shakespeare invented. But all I'm saying is, for some reason, when things are brought out years ago, people say they're good even though they're not, is what I mean.
But let's not mistake the fact that Shakespeare he's not, people seem to confuse him as though they think he wrote these things in order to be read. He wrote them to be performed. They're plays. They're not books in the traditional sense. He didn't bring out the latest book.
No, but just when something's old, it gets a bit more respect, is what I mean. When I was watching that documentary about the real Indiana Jones,
Brilliant.
They dug out some rocks with drawings on, and they were like, "Oh, don't damage them, don't mark the paint," and it's like, it's rubbish. It was like a stick fella with a yak. And now, if that was found now, or if a kid showed me that, I'd go, "Hey, it's not that good." So what I mean is, because stuff's old stuff gets respect.
But you're not judging it on its aesthetic merits. You're judging it on its historical importance.
I don't think that's fair, though, because when that fella drew that, it wasn't old. He did it when he was knocking about.
No, yes, but you must see the difference between you doing a stick man on a wall with a bit of chalk near your local, and a cave painting that they date to 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, so in 10,000 years' time, when they find my story about the monkey fireman, will it gain more respect then than it is now?
No, less.
But why is it?
Because people will more and more realise what a buffoon you are. The more research we do, the more these podcasts we do, the more you expose yourself as an empty, egg-headed moron.
That's a friend speaking right there, Ricky Gervais.
No,
he loves you like a brother.
I just think, you've mentioned him before, Steve, this Peeps fella.
Yes.
Has he done anything else apart from a diary? Because now I've done a book and a diary.
That means you're better than Pepys, is what you're thinking,
well,
isn't it?
I'm not going to say that until I know, but what else did he do?
Well, Pepys wasn't a writer predominantly. I believe he was, like a bureaucrat or something. But he kept a diary which has since become a historical landmark.
And what did he say in it?
What did he say in it? Well, it's again more because it's both well written and it's also an amazing insight into...
A social document as well.
Document, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a social document of that
yours
period.
is a social document, but it sort of revolves around having egg and chips and a calf and seeing a ladybird, which,
But that's today's living. That's
well, his describes the Great Fire of London, which is what it's most...
Yeah, but we haven't had one of them. If we had one, I'd write it down. I'm only writing what's happening. The ladybird happened, right? I wrote it down. He was just lucky. He was about in London when that happened.
So you're a little angered that you've not witnessed one of the great disasters?
Because the thing is, if they read your diary, they'd think, well, nothing happened that year. Nothing important in the world happened that year.
Because your diary doesn't just mention. I mean, okay, yes, it does. It fails to mention any disasters in London because we haven't had any. But it doesn't mention any. It doesn't mention any world events. It doesn't mention wars in Iraq, terrorism. It doesn't mention anything.
But that's all been wrote about anyway. If you're saying there's a museum that's keeping everything, there's loads of other books for that. Who's looking at the fella whose skulls fell off?
What?
We see. It's interesting, isn't it?
What do you mean the fellow whose skulls fell off?
Well, that's what happened the other week, so I wrote about it.
What?
A fella's skull has fell off.
What do you mean his skull has fell off?
It's something to do with circulation.
But what do you mean his skull fell
Well,
off?
it's in the diary.
But how can a skull fall off? Because it's surrounded by tissue and it's got a brain. How can just his skull? How can it detach itself from all the stuff surrounding
He
it?
mislaid all his dreams.
But all I'm saying is that's not getting a look in.
No, because it's not significant or probably true.
Good point, Steve.
I don't.
All right. Well,
know
let me
what's
just.
anything based on.
I'll just consult the diary quickly and find the moment with the man whose skull fell off. Oh, here we are. Yeah. Looks like the world's fattest man is having an operation to get rid of some of the fat. He has to have an iron bed because that's the only thing that can hold his weight. There's also a man whose skull has fell out. He's in hospital somewhere. I hate that. It would make me panic. The hospital is busy with people coming in to look at their head.
What are you talking about there? That tells us nothing. Right, it's impossible for a skull to fall out.
How are scholars in 10,000 years going to be... What are they going to decipher from that?
They can sort of go.
There's not enough incident detail.
But how did his skull fall out?
Circulation problems.
But answer the question. How did his skull fall out? Fall out of what?
He was at home, and I don't know if he was combing his hair or something, but it come off.
What did?
His skull.
What do you mean, his skull? Do you know what the skull is?
It's a part of the head.
Well, no, it's the structure of the head. It's the bone. Do you mean the top of the skull?
This is only useful if you have all the salient facts. Then it would be of interest to us. We could.
Well, I couldn't take that on. I'm busy. I'm not going to start looking into stuff in depth. Just get the details.
God. You're such an idiot. You are the best, idiot in the world.
Well, I don't want to be premature, but that entry is followed by, I injured my toe the other day by dropping the toaster. Instead of letting it hit the floor, I tried to catch it with my foot. I didn't think I'd done any harm, but my nail looks like it could fall off. I might show it to the doctor when I get me kidney stones out. We could easily get by without nails on the feet. They are more trouble than they're worth.
You're so wrong. You're so wrong.
I think on the days when cavemen without shoes and animals need nails, I don't think we need them now. I honestly, because you hear about ingrowing toenails, right? So that's a problem. You've got to cut them. Stuff gets under there and gets infected. Get rid of them. You won't have any of that, as long as you wear shoes.
No, you'd have unprotected toes and fingers, wouldn't you?
I didn't say on the fingers, just on the toes.
So why do you need them on the fingers and not the toes?
Because you use your hands to do stuff. I've said about toenail out. It'd be good to have it growing on the head.
What?
Just having like a sheet of it, just like a nail on the forehead. You wouldn't look weird because we'd all have it. I'm not saying.
What are you talking about now?
I'm just saying I don't want to go on about evolution stuff because we've done it all.
What do you think the skull is for?
No, but I mean on the outside, so that when you bang your head, it's a little bit more protection. Like people, I mean, you're looking at me like that. Why do you wear a helmet on a bike then?
Because the bike wasn't meant to be invented. We weren't meant to whiz along at 70 miles an hour with evolution.
I know, but because life's changing, like you've said.
But you can't go, let's evolve, let's re-evolve.
Okay, let's assume we've got this nail on our head that's growing out of our forehead.
So we look like one big thumb.
Yeah. Which weirdly, Carl kind of, I mean, you can almost imagine it looking at Carl now. You can imagine a big nail there. Does the nail continue to grow? Do we have to trim the head nail?
Yeah, in the same way you get a haircut.
Why is that preferable in your mind to just wearing a crash helmet in instances where you might have something hit your head?
Just because, for a start, helmets, you have to carry them around with you. That's one thing that's put me off having a motorbike. Whenever you see someone on a motorbike, it's all like the clothes they've got to wear. And it's like a big upheaval, isn't it? It's you know, if you have a car, you can get in with your shorts on, your flip-flops on. A motorbike, it's like you're an astronaut or something, and you're only nipping down the road for some milk. Do you know what I mean? So, what I'm saying is get rid
But does it annoy you having to put shoes on every day, and underpants, and a vest, and I don't know.
No, but once
a
they're on,
jacket.
I'm not carrying them. They're on me. If I had to then take the shorts off for whatever reason and walk around holding them, I'd go, I can't be bothered. I don't like holding a bag. I don't like bags. We carry too much around with us now. I don't like carrying stuff. It's just a hassle, isn't it?
It's just endless things he doesn't want to do, doesn't like doing, isn't like carrying bags. Who the hell has a gripe about carrying bags? Why is that a concern?
Because it's stuff that's on
I
you.
love the way that he wouldn't mind having a nail going out of his fucking head, but he doesn't want to carry a bag.
You see, this is the problem I have, because there's a lot of areas in London and elsewhere in the country where there's a sort of, you know, it's a gay thing, you know, it's a gay public toilet, or I don't mean it's gay public, it's not like a legal thing.
He means a cottage.
But it's a cottage, whatever. I mean, I remember being, in Bristol once doing some...
If you're confused when I said it's a cottage,
Yeah.
that's a term for where gay people go in toilets to sort of meet and greet each other.
Well, I
Shake hands.
I was at the public library in Bristol once doing some studies from a sixth form, and I think the toilet was closed in the library. I was dying for the toilet, and I popped out and there was a public toilet behind the library. I thought, I can't believe my luck. Dashed down there. It was about 6ish in the evening. I was working late. I was studying hard. I went in there, and I swear to God, I saw two fellas. With the
Is that unusual? Or
well, no, they were up to some hijinks.
what they're sort of like?
Do you know the thing that struck me?
What?
One of them had bright red underpants.
What do you mean? You saw what? He had
They
his
were
trousers-
actually doing, you know, they were having some kind of, you know, they were having relations. They weren't even in a cubicle. They were out in the
Where were the underpants?
well,
Where
around his ankles.
No.
Yes, I swear to God, I'm not going to make this up.
What are you?
I don't know, like how old you are in the sixth form, 16 or whatever.
Yeah.
17?
And what did you do?
Well, I actually
What? You
said,
just joined in. What else did you do? You might as well.
I
yeah.
actually swore. I said, "Oh, f me," and then I went, "Oh no, don't." No, I did. I swear to God. I did. I went, "Oh, f me." No, don't, because I was panicked and I ran out. And as I was walking out, a guy was coming in. I went, "Oh, hang on, mate." And then I thought I better not tell him. I'll let him find out for himself. He might be going there to join in. He might have got a call. Come down. We're going crazy on each other's ass. Come down.
It's conspiracy of Bristol.
But what
conspiracy.
annoyed me
my
was,
lover. Want a bit of cart?
what angered me, Rick, was the fact that I wasn't notified, that there was not, I didn't know
There
this
was no sign.
And afterwards, I spoke to other people about it, and they said, "Oh, it's a famous gay haunt." But what annoys me is I feel that they should put an ad in the local press,
Yeah.
a big paper, like once a week, like, you know, when they recall cars if they're damaged or there's a fault, or couriers might bring back stuff if they're sort of faulty goods, they say recall and we'll give you money back. They
What
should
do you
put an advert,
suggest?
the gay community should put an advert in that just says, these are the hot spots, this is where you're likely to find us doing some stuff. If you're not gay and you might feel uncomfortable, avoid them. And just list them, or little pictures, or, you know, a map or something. Anything, because like the gay tube thing, I don't know that's
fun. 1, 2, 3. Railway cuttings.
well, not that. It's more of a sort of social awareness thing.
Yeah.
So people, you know, don't feel uncomfortable and.
But they don't want it exactly to be like sort of walking under a neon sign.
Why? It's legal.
yeah, big arrows. Oh, as if.
What do you mean? What's wrong with that?
Because, well, it's actually a public place. I don't think cottaging is strictly legal.
But they don't even have to specify what they're going
But
to do.
some people, they're not. Some of them aren't. I don't think it's
But they
probably seen
advertise
gays, is
GAY.
it? Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not the people that go out and they say I'm gay and I like Barbara Streisand. It's presumably the sort of people that do that are people that either aren't quite out yet, or do you know what I mean? Or they're doing having a quick one over the way to their wife and kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know completely how it works, but I'm sure there probably isn't a place like free bumming here tonight.
No, there is kind of.
What?
Because I was walking home one night through Soho, right? Just because that's the way I have to go, not because you know what I mean? I wasn't going there on that, right? So I'm walking through, right? And I was handed like a card, which was like a gay event, right? Now that's a bit weird, isn't it? That straight away he's presuming that because I'm there that time of night.
Well, and you've got a shaved head, and you sort of like, you know, you sort of like quite look after yourself, and you've got some nice clothes.
Yeah, but it's still you
And you look
can't
like a
really
little bit
presume.
rough, don't you, from Manchester?
It
You
was
look like a northern rent boy who comes down
Well,
to stand outside McDonald's.
But
And
the card was rubbish, right?
what do you mean?
Had this fella on it, right? All sort of greased up and that.
What would you look?
Just having a look what he'd handed me and that.
Right.
Just having a look. Picture of him, sort of sailor's hat on, tan body, like just his arse out like that, and rubbish slogan, right? The best bum in W1.
Is bum there a noun or like a verb?
What do you mean?
to bum? Is it like, get the best bum you've ever had? Or, he had the best bum?
I think it's just
I don't
like
suppose you asked.
No.
I don't suppose you called the number to check. What do you mean exactly by this? Does it mean you've got a great arse?
Do you
'Cause
mean
think
I
mine's
will
good.
be well bummed? Or do you mean you've just got a
Alright,
good...
come on now, let's...
What?
Can I just, a final point about, because I asked my friend how it all works up on the Heath, because I live in Hampstead Heath, near Hampstead, and I was where I didn't want to go walking and get involved, get myself involved in it.
How can you get involved?
No, again, I didn't want to walk
Sort of like,
by-
is it like, oh, yeah, believe it. I couldn't say no. Oh, my wrist, it's knackered. What do you mean? Well, I was there for about 2 hours. I must have gone about 43 of them. But, you know, I didn't like to say no, because they were so pleased to see me. Oh,
Well, it's
God.
not so much the fear of that. It's not
Good skiing practice. I was doing 2 at a time for a little while.
It's not the fear of that so much as the fact that, again, you don't want to gate crash someone else's party. You don't, do you know what I mean?
No.
You don't, if there was a straight couple having sex, you'd want, oh, I'm sorry, and you'd want to avoid that area. Just
Yeah,
'cause you,
of course.
But I find, so someone told me how it works, and apparently you just go and, you know, sit on a bench or something, and then a guy just sits on the bench, and they just look at each other. There's not really anything said, it's just a kind of nice evening or whatever. You know, I guess it's like 2 in the morning or whatever. And then they go off in the bushes and ding dong. But it's like, I don't know how that culture's developed.
I love this programme
But
now.
why can't that be the case with women? That would be amazing. You just go out to the park, and like 1 in the morning, you just sit on a bench, you just...
Be like a scene from Gigi.
Exactly.
Where
Great.
he's just walking along with the perambulator.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. But that would just be a joy if there was none of this formality. You've got to talk to them, buy them dinner,
Oh,
you know,
you're joking.
romance.
Oh, no.
Just this kind of informal thing. It'd
So
be
what?
great.
So what would you do then? You go up to a woman and go, "Come on,
Yeah.
let's stop mucking around."
We know
There's
why we're both sat on this bench.
There's a nice bush over there.
Yeah.
Let's have a bit.
Yeah, and then she'd go, yeah, great, thanks. I'm killing some time before I, pop into town.
Yeah.
That'll be perfect, thanks. You make my weekend.
So you're jealous of gays as well
In
as
a
me.
sense. In a way.
What do you think, Carl?
Let's put a track on.
Why are you getting scared now?
You
What?
brought it up.
Is it getting too close to the bone, so to speak?
Can I tell you one of the best presents I ever had? Without doubt, all I ever wanted was a go-kart. This is true. I was like, sort of 5, 6, 7, and I eventually, for Christmas, I wasn't sort of spoiled in the sense that I got pocket money, but I always got what I wanted at Christmas eventually,
Right.
because working class mothers, they'd get it out the catalogue and pay for it for the rest of the year. So I always got. I'd really, as many presents as anyone else. And I got this go-kart. It was a little red go-kart, and it was a pedal one. And I'd run home from school, and I'd be in it, and I'd get up and down the garden for hours. I'd have to come in for my tea, and this was fantastic. And this went on for like weeks and weeks and went through the summer, the next summer. It was just, it was fantastic go-kart. I'd show off. And then one day I came home, and I went, it was always at the back of the shed, sort of up against the shed. And I went in, I couldn't see it. And so I went to the back door, my mum was sort of like washing up with that, and I went, "Where's my go-kart?" I thought, "It hasn't been nicked." She went, "Your dad swapped it."
Your dad swapped it?
Yeah. I went, "He what?" And I was going to be brave, and I went, "He what?" She went, "He swapped it for a wheelbarrow." And I could see she didn't approve of this, and she was thinking, "I'm going to tell him, and then I'm going to, have this out." And I went, "Right." She went, "It's your wheelbarrow." And I went to the back of the shed, and there was this wheelbarrow. He swapped it with a bloke called Jimmy Dublin, who he worked with.
Jimmy Dublin?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he was a respectable member of the community.
He was fine. It was his lively. No, I think he was an Irish gentleman, and that's why we called him. That's why I don't know what his real name was. And I think my dad must have been drunk, and he went, "I want to get my son a go-kart." And my dad, my kid's got one. He's probably had it for a year. He's probably bored with it.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'll give you this wheelbarrow." And I went to this wheelbarrow, and it was caked in concrete. I could hardly lift it. I just nicked off a building site, obviously. And I'd be there for hours trying to push this wheelbarrow up and down the garden, right? And it was okay though, because I was going on holiday soon, and I 7 years running went to Bognor Regis, a place called Riverside, because some woman around the way had a caravan that we got free for a week, and it was great, just wonderful. And I used to go there with my mum and my nan.
Oh, party time.
Yeah, the age of 7 to sort of. No, it was good because when you're a kid and you wake up in a strange place, it sort of seems weird. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning hearing your gran pissing in an iron bucket, and
We've all been there.
You get disorientated. Anyway, and I went on holiday, and I met a little friend who was about my age. We were both sort of like, right, and he'd hired a go-kart. He had this great go-kart, and he came round to my caravan, and I went, I've got a go-kart. And I remember my mum opening the window of the caravan and going, don't lie.
That's so evil.
And I went, I had a go-kart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever talk to your father about the fact you swapped it?
No.
You never mentioned it to him?
No.
You still got that wheelbarrow?
I think so. I've grown into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can nearly lift it now. Yeah. And now I'm just too old to run up and down the garden with
now
it.
you get one of your several gardeners and use it all the time.
Hello and welcome to the last in this series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant,
Hello.
and Karl Pilkington.
Alright.
Carl, as you're aware, you've obviously got many celebrity fans. David Bowie is a fan, people involved with creating The Simpsons. And you've also got a new fan, Warwick Davis, who is the short actor that many people will see in films like Return of the Jedi. He also is in Harry Potter. He's 3'6", and Ricky and I worked with him recently on extras. And far from asking us about the many celebrity names that we've worked with, the only person he was interested in talking about, of course, Mr. K. Pilkington.
He wanted to meet you, Karl.
Yeah. Well, is he alright to get on with?
Why wouldn't he be?
Just because sometimes when people aren't normal, it's just...
Sorry?
No, I just mean when someone... Like, I've met a few little people in my time. The one that I met a little fella once, and he was alright. He got drunk really quick. But he was alright, but it took me by surprise. Only because, like I've said about when I met Steve for the first time, it's only that same thing. And then if I lived with the little fella, I'm sure we'd get on a storm.
What do you mean when you met
There's
Steve?
a TV show waiting to happen.
What do you mean when you met Steve for the first time?
No, we've done it, when he walked in, it just a bit of, oh, he's different. But then, I see Steve every week, and, the same way I say I like watching Elephant Man, from the first time I watched it to the last, totally different. When he walks in the first time, it's like, oh god, look at that. It's a mess, isn't it? When I watch it again, it's kind of like, oh, here he is, here's John. So, it doesn't, things wear off. That's like the world, isn't it? Things don't amaze you as much as you see things and you use things often. And it's the same with the little fella you're talking about. First time I see him, I'd be a little bit like, oh, what do you say? What shouldn't I say? Whereas once you get to know him, I'm sure he'd be a lovely little fella.
I don't know where to start, Steve.
Well, Warwick, I think, suspected as much. He's offered you an interesting fact, actually. You're wearing headphones now. Apparently you wear those headphones for just 1 hour, and it will multiply the amount of bacteria in your ear by over 700 times.
But why is he worrying about that?
Well, he's not worrying about it. He thinks it's of interest to you because you're wearing headphones. It's part of your profession.
You wear headphones, yeah.
But Warwick asks, really, what are your thoughts on short people, particularly in entertainment? Because, of course, they've, throughout the ages, made an appearance, particularly in fiction. Tom Thumb, of course, the Oompa Loompas.
What do I think of them?
He's just wondering, I suppose, what your take is.
They're alright. I mean, when I was on jury duty, when you go in the morning, you have to go into a big sort of waiting room, and every day I'd sort of see one pop in, and he'd be sort of struggling getting on the chair, and it was kind of something to watch. It was different. That's what's good with things in life. If you look at stuff and you go, oh, look at that, and seeing him struggle on the chair, he was happy. He wasn't struggling in a way that he felt uncomfortable. He'd obviously climbed a lot of chairs in his time, and this was just another one. And watching him, it just makes you think. You go, I should appreciate that I don't have that problem every time I have to sit down and what have you. But I don't think it's that bad. If I had to pick being really tall or really small, I'd go for the really small one because, the world's a more interesting place for him, isn't it? Everything's bigger. Do you know what I mean? We go to New York and go, wow, look at this. And they go and they go, oh dear. Do you know what I mean? Everything's a lot bigger. Everything's more amazing. Food portions. Everything's a bonus. So out of the two, I'd be small, and maybe that's what I'd chat to Warwick about for a bit, just to get to know him.
Brilliant.
It's a shame in a way that he's not been able to pop in. I'd like to hear that conversation.
But I've got, you know, speaking of like weird stuff and that, I've got a new.
Well, we weren't, but go on.
No, got a new book. Do you know I had that Freaks book, Top 50 Freaks? Got a new one sent to me.
Really?
Yeah, and do you know like everything normally has a name. So like if it's the two-headed fella, you know, they're all nicknames like that, aren't they?
They've got 2 nicknames, I imagine.
But this new book I've got, right, on the cover of this one, it's got like a woman with 3 breasts, right? And she's called the three-breasted woman, as you'd expect. And there's what else was in there? There's a fella, the one face.
Why is she posing nude though? That's what I want to know.
Showing off. It's not the worst disability, is it?
Well, just 'cause you've got 3, it doesn't mean you have to get them out for the lads, does it?
Tart.
I know.
Well, she looks happy. And there was a fella with like one face but 2 bodies.
In one face but 2 bodies.
One face, 2 bodies.
What do you mean
It's
one
weird.
face, 2 bodies?
Surely you one head, 2 bodies.
Ed as well, but it was mainly the face that was weird because he looked fed up. He sort of,
What are you talking about? How
What
can
are you
have
talking
a face
about?
without a head?
How can you have? What do you mean? How did it join to the neck?
no, it did have a head, but the fact is, it was weird that it had one face to me.
What do you mean?
Well,
if you've
of
got
course
one
he had-
head, you'd
yeah.
have one face.
Yeah, I know, but it was the fact that he had one face and 2 bodies that I didn't think.
But
one
why do
head-
you keep saying one face and 2 bodies as
Why
opposed to
not one
one
head?
head and 2 bodies? We're all the man with one face.
Yeah, but now I've got one body.
Yeah, well, surely he's the man with 2 bodies then. Again, the description.
Roll up, see the man with one face.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
He's just got like a face and then one neck, and then it splits off into 2 bodies. It's really weird.
it
Honestly, it's
doesn't.
weird.
it-
It was ages ago.
Well, no. No, it doesn't happen.
So it's full of stuff like that, right? And what I'm saying is that fella, you know, the one-faced man, the 3-breasted woman.
He wouldn't be known as the one-faced man, is what I'm saying.
Well, they've all-
that
they all-
isn't the peculiar thing about him.
Yeah, well, they all had names like that. But
Right.
there was one thing in it that didn't even have a nickname. It was so weird.
What do you mean?
It was it just said unidentified.
What does it look like?
Sort of testicles for eyes. That's. It just reminded me when you
What
talk
do you
about
mean
strange.
testicles fries?
And what is it? Did he have a normal body?
I didn't even look at that.
Oh,
No,
so
that's what I'm saying though. You're attracted to the oddness of the thing, and that's what I was saying about Warren when he walks in.
Warwick.
You know, it'll be odd for a minute, and then I'm sure
For him it will be, yeah.
He'll get used to you.
you know. I mean, like I've said, I'm surprised that things like that don't happen more because, especially after being in hospital and seeing how the body works and that.
You
How
have no
does
idea
it-
how the body works.
No, honestly, I've got me
Right,
head
you
round it a
have
bit.
no idea. You've learnt nothing.
I've got me.
You've learnt nothing since the age of 7.
I've got my head round it a bit more, and the way that there's loads of people in the world, and yet you don't see people with like dangly eyes more often. It amazes me.
I love the fact that he's amazed by not seeing freaks.
Yeah.
It's incredible. He's walking down the street going, oh, everyone's got one head. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Suzanne, see any dangly eyes today? No, me neither.
It's weird, isn't it? What's going on in the world? Oh.
Warwick's not been the only correspondent. We've had a number of people. Remember years ago we used to encourage people to send in questions, and those questions have been drifting in ever since, really. Just things that people want to throw at you, see how your mind works, Carl. Do you mind answering a few? I suppose you might loosely term these philosophical questions, or at least questions that might help you think, ponder on some of the bigger ideas.
This is your forte, Carl. Philosophy, isn't it?
Question 1. Carl, are all men born equal?
Well, we've talked about Warren.
Warwick?
Say if like the Pillow Man, right, the fellow with no arms and legs. If everyone was like that, he wouldn't be. That wouldn't be a disability. He'd be equal to everyone else, wouldn't he?
When someone fights for equality, it doesn't mean they want to be treated literally the same. For example, it's usually about a prejudice, isn't it? Or a lack of opportunity.
Yeah.
If you were... just to think of equal opportunities in terms of a job.
Yeah.
If you needed someone for a lookout on a lighthouse and a blind person went along, they couldn't do the job. Whereas if it was listening for stuff, and you didn't give it to the blind person because you were worried about, don't know, blind people, that would be imposing a prejudice because he could hear as well as you. So if he was the best for that job, he should get it, despite his other disability.
But I'm pretty sure, yeah, your ears are important in a lighthouse.
I'm pretty sure he's come down on the wrong side of the argument, Steve.
Keep going.
Go on.
No, I just want to hear that, you know.
I mean, if they want to go for any job, go for it, but then don't moan if you don't get it. That's all I think.
Is that your equal opportunity statement?
That's your statement.
Well, I don't take anyone on, so I don't have all these worries, but I'm just saying, if I was in charge of that lighthouse and the deaf fella turned up, was he deaf or blind?
Well, it depends. I gave you
There
two
was one of each.
scenarios.
There was a deaf guy and a blind guy.
And no one else. I'll put another advert in.